미디어 프로젝트 15주 2차 시강의를 시작하겠습니다. 기하급수적 기술 발전을 이코노믹스 관점에서 살펴보도록 하겠습니다. 관련 동영상을 보겠습니다.
And these are some of the platforms on the web that started experimenting with this for the first time a while back. They got into hot water because nobody wants to pay a different price. But today, very few online retailers do not price discriminate.
오늘날에는 대부분의 온라인 리테일러들이 이러한 다이내믹 프라이싱을 사용합니다.
The most important message here is to know your customer. But what do you do when you don't have perfect information about their purchasing propensity? There are a few approaches you can take with dynamic pricing. Direct auctions, of course, work. Reverse auctions also work.
가장 중요한 것은 커스터머에 대해서 아는 것입니다. 다이내믹 프라이싱에는 디렉트 옥션과 리버스 옥션이 있습니다.
This is where you start at a high price point and tick the price down, or start at a low price point and tick the price up. Combined with limited supply, you can help the market clear itself at the right price point for each purchaser.
한 가지 방법은 높은 가격에서 낮은 가격으로 낮춰가는 것이고, 또 다른 방법은 리미티드 서플라이로 낮은 가격에서 점차 가격을 올리는 것입니다.
But my favorite is the following. Imagine walking up to a shelf in a retail store and the prices are updated. How annoying would that be?
만약 리테일 스토어에 들어가서 가격이 실시간으로 변한다면 기분이 별로 좋지 않을 것입니다.
In fact, there are startups that are working on affluence detection based on what you're wearing and how you're walking.
어떤 스타트업은 여러분이 무엇을 입고 어떻게 걷는지를 통해서 여러분이 얼마나 풍부한지를 테스팅하는 서비스를 개발하고 있습니다.
So watch out, take some classes. Let's talk about power and how in this new world power is changing hands.
이러한 엑소노믹에서는 파워 트랜스퍼가 일어나고 있습니다.
To this day, we know that Skype has disrupted the telco industry out of around $37 billion. How much of that did Skype capture? Tiny fraction, only 2 billion. So 35 billion is consumer surplus. And right around here, I tell folks, good luck disrupting yourself.
스카이프는 온라인 화상 통신으로 텔레콤에 엄청난 타격을 입혔지만 시장의 일부만을 가져갈 수 있었습니다.
Because it involves leaving a lot of money potentially on the table. But if you're late and you're reacting to change as opposed to being proactive about it, you might no longer be in the market.
이러한 기술 변화에 적극적으로 대처하지 않으면 모든 것을 잃을 수도 있습니다.
So it's a dilemma, and we will unpack this over the next 2 days. But let's talk about different types of businesses that you could be in and how much market power you will command. The first type of business is a content business.
다음은 비즈니스별로 엑소노믹 파워에 대해서 이야기하도록 하겠습니다. 첫 번째는 컨텐츠 비즈니스입니다.
A content business is very tough. You don't have a lot of market power because the marginal cost of copying content has gone to zero. You don't pay anything to copy that file. In fact, 8 out of 10 Oscar-nominated movies this year were available online in full high definition before they were released.
컨텐츠 비즈니스에서는 마켓 파워가 그렇게 크지 않습니다. 그 이유는 컨텐츠를 카피하는 마지널 코스트가 0에 가깝기 때문입니다.
So it's a tough business. It doesn't mean you cannot make money. It simply means you don't have a lot of market power. Further up the power chain, you have a product or service. This is where most of us play in. You have more power than the content business, but less power than a platform.
프로덕트와 서비스는 컨텐츠 비즈니스보다는 파워가 있지만 플랫폼보다는 파워가 적습니다.
And I define a platform as a value bridge. You're connecting two or multiple sides of the market.
플랫폼은 마켓들을 서로 연결하는 밸류 브리지라고 할 수 있습니다.
You're allowing for value to flow. You don't need to deliver that value directly. You're the bridge. And if you manage to intertwine and combine, interlock multiple platforms, you end up with an ecosystem.
여러 개의 플랫폼들이 서로 인터록되면 에코시스템을 형성할 수 있습니다.
So let's look at the S&P 500 and the entries and exits from the index of 500 largest companies in the US since 2002.
S&P 500 지수에서 신규 진입한 기업과 퇴출된 기업의 리스트입니다.
On the right-hand side, you see the exits, and very few of these companies are platforms.
오른쪽에 엑시트된 기업들을 보면 뉴욕타임즈 같은 신문사도 있고 시어스 같은 백화점도 있지만 플랫폼은 없습니다.
Most of them are product or service or content businesses.
제출된 기업들은 컨텐츠를 비롯한 프로덕트와 서비스 기업들입니다.
On the left, you have the entries, and you'll notice many of them are platforms. You have E-Trade, Netflix, Google, Amazon, and the list goes on. So the question is, how do you move from a product or service model to a platform model?
새로 진입한 기업들은 이베이, 구글, 아마존, 넷플릭스 등 플랫폼 기업들이 많습니다.
And this is counterintuitive, but the headline version is you need to think about the lives of your competitors and find ways to make their lives easier.
문제는 어떻게 프로덕트와 서비스 모델에서 플랫폼 모델로 이전하는가입니다.
In the process of doing that, you forego the profitability of your product or service, but you establish yourself as the de facto standard and the platform, and then you'll enjoy more market power over the long term.
플랫폼이 되는 한 가지 방법은 여러분의 이익이 줄어도 여러분의 프로덕트와 서비스를 스탠다드로 만드는 것입니다.
Here's an example of this. Google released TensorFlow, which is their AI library. They spent millions of dollars developing this. They released it to the public. They said, here's our tool, go use it. They're trying to become the AI platform of the future.
구글은 텐서플로우에 엄청난 돈을 투자했지만 이를 무료로 제공함으로써 AI의 플랫폼이 되도록 했습니다.
And in the process, they're foregoing the product or service revenue that they might have had. Here's another example. The founder of Tesla released their intellectual property to the public.
또 다른 예로 테슬라는 자신의 지적 재산권을 무료로 일반에게 공개했습니다.
They said, go ahead, use this. And what he had to say about it is very informative. We believe that Tesla, other companies making electric cars, and the world would all benefit from a common, rapidly evolving technology platform.
테슬라의 일론 머스크는 빠르게 발전하는 공동의 플랫폼을 통해 모두가 이익을 공유할 것이라고 주장합니다.
So platform wars are approaching, and you need to be ready. If the marginal cost of supply is going down, and the marginal cost of demand is also going down, thanks to the internet, your addressable market has never been as addressable as it is today.
인터넷 덕분에 공급의 마지널 코스트가 계속 감소하고 있고 수요의 마지널 코스트 또한 계속 감소하고 있습니다.
If these two are true, then we're going to see a rise in market power velocity. The fact that power is changing hands faster than ever before, and companies are rising to the billion-dollar mark faster than ever before and falling from multi-billion-dollar valuations more quickly than we have ever seen.
마지널 코스트의 변화로 기업의 마켓 파워 벨로시티가 크게 증가했습니다.
So in light of all this exponential change, the question is, what should your reaction be? A lot of companies over-index on IQ. They believe intelligence is the answer. But recent research has shown that beyond the first 2 years on the job, IQ actually does not predict success.
기업은 IQ를 중요시 여깁니다. 그러나 연구 결과에 의하면 처음 2년간이 지나면 IQ로 성공을 예측하기는 어렵습니다.
Let me say that again. IQ does not seem to be predicting success. So what are we missing? I've invented the concept of AQ for adaptability quotient. If the world is changing exponentially fast, then your ability to respond to that change quickly is the strongest predictor of your success.
발표자의 생각으로는 이렇게 기하급수적으로 빨리 변화하는 시대에는 adaptability, 적응하는 능력이 무엇보다 중요합니다.
But it is great news for humanity. Unlike IQ, AQ seems to be highly coachable. That means you don't need to fire anybody because they have low AQ in your assessment. You need to coach them and nurture them.
AQ의 좋은 점은 IQ와는 달리 가르칠 수 있다는 점입니다.
And here's another insight from our research so far. Every organization out there is looking for stability. We're noticing that the strongest predictor of AQ and to the extent to which you'll enjoy stability is your ability to unlearn. Your past success is getting in the way of your future success.
기하급수적으로 빨리 변화하는 시대에는 스테빌리티, 안정성을 얻기 위해서 이미 우리가 학습되어서 알고 있던 것들을 잊어버릴 수 있는 능력이 필요합니다.
The ability to unlearn is emerging as a core competency. that companies need to focus on.
회사가 과거의 성공 경험을 통해서 학습된 것을 잊어버릴 수 있는 능력은 아주 중요한 역량이 되고 있습니다.
So I encourage you to reflect on what you might need to unlearn as you hear about different technologies and different trends over the course of the conference.
여러분이 여러 기술과 트렌드들을 배우게 되면서 여러분 분야에서 무엇을 언론할지를 생각해 보시기 바랍니다.
All right, let's talk about policy, a very important topic. Let's do an exercise. Let's say you are the CEO of the country's largest shampoo manufacturer. You have an R&D budget, you divide your R&D team into two groups, and you give them 6 months to come back to you with a new product. Team A comes back with the same formula, but they've made it more watery. Meaning, as people pour shampoo on their head, more of it is going to drip down, and people need to buy more shampoo. Classic technique. And it works, to a certain extent.
회사의 정책, 폴리시에 대해서 이야기하겠습니다. 여러분이 샴푸회사 사장이라고 했었을 때 어떤 폴리시 메이킹을 할 수 있는지 보도록 하겠습니다. A팀은 기존 포뮬러에 물을 더 많이 넣어서 매출을 더 올리도록 했습니다.
Team B comes back with a new product, with a new formula that happens to cure cancer. Okay, stay with me. You're having dinner with the finance minister of the country. Which product does she want you to launch? Specifically, what is the impact on the GDP?
B팀은 새로운 포뮬러로 캔서를 치료할 수 있는 샴푸를 개발했습니다.
Type A increases GDP, whereas type B decreases it. I call this the growth fallacy. The fact that most of our policymakers are tunnel visioned on GDP as the best measure of the economic well-being of a society.
타입 A는 GDP를 증가시키고 타입 B는 GDP를 오히려 감소시킵니다. 이것은 growth fallacy라고 부를 수 있을 것입니다.
Type B destroys an entire supply chain, and that is not a bad thing. By very definition, disruptive technologies do that. And we need to find models that encourage that, as opposed to score them negatively.
타입 B는 기술 혁신을 통해서 기존의 시장을 완전히 파괴합니다. 우리는 그런 것들을 권장해야 됩니다.
Here's another challenge in the policy world these days, the D word. D stands for deflation.
폴리시 메이킹에서 중요한 챌린지는 D로 표시되는 디플레이션입니다.
My contention is exponential technologies, these disruptive technologies, are by definition making things cheaper, faster, and more accessible.
기하급수적 기술은 cheaper, faster, accessible합니다. 즉, 더 가격이 싸고 빠르고 접근 가능합니다.
So there is massive technological deflationary forces in play.
기하급수적 기술들은 디플레이션을 일으키는 거대한 힘이 되고 있습니다.
On the other hand, we're printing a lot of money trying to cause inflation, and the two seem to be canceling each other out.
현재 우리는 많은 화폐를 발행해서 인플레이션을 일으키려고 하기 때문에 디플레이션 효과와 현재 상쇄되고 있습니다.
In fact, I believe we're going to look back at this period in human history and see it as a demarcation between the inflationary era and the deflationary era. And deflation is good.
나중에 역사를 되돌아보면 지금이 인플레이션 시대에서 디플레이션 시대로 변하는 지점이라는 것을 알게 될 것입니다.
Deflation is the mother of innovation. If you're trying to solve cancer, wouldn't you love to go to bed, wake up, and every morning everything has become cheaper? You'll have a longer runway. You can make and place more bets. So we need to rephrase and reconsider our approach here.
기술 발전이 계속되고 있기 때문에 많은 것들에 대한 우리의 접근 방식을 다르게 할 필요가 있습니다.
But let's go a little deeper into one policy area, self-driving cars. We know that self-driving cars are going to dramatically reduce accidents. Today, they seem to be on average around 2 orders of magnitude safer than the average driver.
현재 자율주행 자동차는 하이웨이에서 인간보다 100배 이상 안전합니다. 따라서 액시던트와 인저리를 크게 줄일 수 있습니다.
We also know that we are headed towards technological unemployment for a lot of different types of drivers.
이러한 기술 발전은 버스와 트럭과 택시에서 많은 실업자를 만들어낼 것입니다.
And finally, this is already shown that with Uber and Lyft and car sharing, people are going to buy fewer cars.
자동차를 사서 소유하는 사람도 크게 줄을 것입니다.
Let's put some numbers on these trends. Unemployed drivers, that's going to be roughly about 1% of the workforce. People not buying as many cars, that's going to be probably around 2% of GDP.
셀프 드라이빙 카로 인해서 1%의 직장이 사라질 것이고 차를 소유하지 않으면서 2%의 GDP가 감소할 것입니다.
And this part is very counterintuitive and sad. In most modern countries, 3% of the GDP comes from the death and destruction of car accidents.
사람들의 직감에는 어긋날 수 있겠지만 자동차 사고가 줄면서 3%의 GDP가 감소할 수 있습니다.
The moment you take care of that, what is left? I met 3 prime ministers last year, and I can tell you, none of them are ready for this world and the implications for our societies. More specifically, technological unemployment is something we need to respond to very proactively.
몇 명의 세계 지도자들을 만났지만 아무도 이에 대한 준비를 하지 못하고 있었습니다. 실업에 대한 문제는 적극적으로 대처해야 되는 문제입니다.
And a famous figure, Martin Luther King, had a solution. He wrote a book about this. He said, I am now convinced that the simplest solution to poverty is to abolish it directly by, anybody know what he said? Universal basic income.
인권운동가인 킹은 누구에게나 베이직 인컴, 기본소득을 주자고 주장했습니다.
He wrote a book about this 1 year before he was assassinated. In fact, there are people who believe this is the reason why he was assassinated. Now, how many people believe that folks are going to become lazier when they're given a minimum basic income? Let's see a show of hands. That seems to be the major concern, and it's a valid concern.
모두에게 기본소득을 주면 사람들이 게을러질 것이라고 많은 사람들이 걱정합니다.
So there have been recent studies, around 20 of them, that implemented UBI at a local geography and looked at the results. Here's the amazing outcome. Entrepreneurship shoots up typically 3x, threefold increase in entrepreneurship. And this makes sense. Think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When people are covered for their basic needs, their risk appetite goes up, and they have a higher propensity to start businesses.
기본소득을 주면 기본적인 의식주가 해결되기 때문에 자신이 하고 싶은 창의적인 일들을 할 수도 있습니다.
And that is a good thing. All right, let me attempt to summarize around 10,000 years of economic history in one sentence. In fact, it's not even a full sentence. I think it's about adding certainty to an uncertain world. Every economic system in human history rewards those who create certainty in an uncertain world.
지난 만년 동안의 경제의 역사를 돌아보면 불확실한 세상에 확실성을 더하는 것에 가치를 부여했습니다.
And I think there is no better measure of certainty in our lives than this. For the first time in human history, extreme poverty levels have fallen below 20%. This is very encouraging and directionally correct. It's a little too slow for my taste, but we do seem to be seeing an accelerating trend.
인류 역사에서 처음으로 극도의 가난은 20% 이하로 떨어졌습니다.
And on the note of adding certainty to our lives, Bitcoin and blockchain has a major role to play, in my opinion.
비트코인과 블록체인은 큰 역할을 할 것입니다.
You're going to hear a lot about these Bitcoin, of course, and these other cryptocurrencies. They're both currencies and commodities. You can invest in them. They have a public ledger. Deflationary. Over time, your purchasing power goes up, as opposed to fiat currencies where your purchasing power goes down over time because of inflation.
기술 발전은 여러분의 퍼처싱 파워를 증가시키고 인플레이션은 여러분의 퍼처싱 파워를 감소시킵니다.
And highly secured. You do not need to trust a middleman.
블록체인 기술은 중개자에 대한 트러스트 문제가 없기 때문에 상당히 시큐어합니다.
But more important than cryptocurrencies themselves is the blockchain technology behind it. And I want to give you an example, a very concrete example of what you can do with smart contracts. Think about a typical contract that has been in use throughout human history. In order to have a contract with somebody, you need to trust them, and you need to have an enforcement mechanism if things go wrong.
블록체인의 가장 큰 영향은 스마트 컨트랙입니다.
Blockchain technology is showing us a path to where you bypass both. Enforcement is automatic and you do not need to trust your counterparty.
블록체인을 통한 스마트 컨트랙트는 트러스트와 인포스먼트 문제를 해결해 줍니다. 어펜딕스입니다. 지금까지 시청하신 것으로 이번 차수의 수업이 인정됩니다. 익스포넨셜 이코노믹스에 대한 발표자의 강의를 계속 듣도록 하겠습니다.
And to make sure everybody is awake, what color is this swan? White. Thank you. What color is this one? Black. Who has read the book? Great. Highly recommended. The author argues that we are very bad at estimating extreme events and their likelihood. But what color is this swan? Aha. This is called the black-necked swan. And its sole purpose in existence is for me to make a point. Let me make that point. Let's think about things that happen to us. At a very simple model, normal distribution, half of the things that happen to us are positive, the other half are negative. Basic model. We know, thanks to technology, we've added more certainty to our lives, and more than half of the things that are happening to us are good, less than half are hopefully negative. Here's the black swan distribution. Taleb argues that the tails are fatter than we realize. Here's the black-necked swan distribution. Let me clear the graph for you. You remember these two examples we started with. My belief is that technology is amplifying the extreme negatives and the extreme positives of our lives. We're beginning to head towards a world where the average outcome is no longer the most common outcome. The tails are actually pointing up, which means we need to build a new type of organization that is prepared for the trimodal model of our outcomes. You need to have an organization that is resilient enough to withstand negative outcomes, but also an organization that can capture the extreme upsides that we're beginning to see. So I encourage you to reflect on what this means for your world and what your reaction to it should be. If you do manage to survive disruption and to potentially disrupt yourself, there are a few things we can say about the future of your business. You'll be managing fewer people but more information, data-driven decision-making. You'll be offering fewer products and services, and most likely you will be a platform, certainly utilizing many platforms. You'll have less stability, but still manage to generate more revenue and higher impact. What about your growth thesis? I encourage you to over-index on AQ. Have a chief adaptability officer. You don't need to call them that, but have somebody who is reflecting on what needs to be unlearned within the organization. Exponential enterprises, you'll hear about this throughout the conference, and also I encourage you to reflect on the whole spectrum of exponential technologies, and do not consider any of them as being out of scope for you. We're seeing a lot of value chain crossovers. Google, a search company, is building an electric car. Pardon me, a self-driving car. Facebook is looking into insurance and financial services. So broaden the scope of what you consider to be relevant to your business. And ultimately, if you forget everything that I've said, I encourage you to remember this triangle. I call it the golden triangle. People, property, and information want to move freely. But a lot of our business models are predicated on the friction of that movement. If you reflect on any disruption story out there, it is typically about somebody who has come up with a way for people, property, or information to move more freely. So what can you do to enable that freer movement? That's your future business opportunity. All right, as an economist, it is very uncool for me to end on a positive note. I have to warn you about something. The truth is, I'm very optimistic about this future. But there's one area that I worry about. And that is a crisis of imagination. The fact that our reach exceeds our imagination, but we're not thinking big enough. The biggest risk is not thinking big enough. And this is a perspective that is perhaps more salient during an event like this. Your challenge is to keep this perspective over time, a week from now, a month from now, 2 years from now, to challenge yourself to think bigger. And when it comes to perspectives, my dad always says that in life, perspective is easy to find, but hard to keep. So we all need reminders. I got a reminder from my phone a few months ago. I was typing the word impossible when my phone auto-corrected it to I'm possible. On that note, thank you so much.